Hi, everybody. It's Larry Johnson, your host for Eight Principles Voices. And you're going to really enjoy our guest today. It's someone I met just recently. You just never know when you're going to meet people you really like. If you just keep your eyes open, you meet people and you just learn so much. And so I met Eduardo at a donor event. I guess it was in California not too long ago. And I was just really taken with his story and what he does. And so I wanted to bring him on the show. Eduardo Regal, and he is the CEO or the executive director of Christ in the City, which is an urban ministry that has several locations, and he's in Denver. So I'll let him tell you a little bit about himself. But welcome, Eduardo.
Thank you, Larry. Hi, thank you for having me in your podcast. It's a blessing for me.
Well, it's a blessing for me. That makes two of us. Now, and you're Peruvian, correct?
Yes, I'm Peruvian. I was born in Lima, in Peru. I moved to the US in 2011. So I've been living here, 2014, excuse me. So I've been in the US for 11 years already. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So tell me a little bit about Christ in the City.
Christ in the City, it's a very unique organization because it has like three very different goals. The first, which that are combined all together. The first one is the spiritual growth and formation of young people, young Catholic men and women. And at the same time, it's a service to the poor, which is this combination that it's I would say not very common in the church.
No, no, that
And
isn't.
we have a third goal, which is let's say, the transformation or evangelization of the culture with the approach that we have. So, a good way to understanding this unique combination is how it started. So, maybe I can start sharing with you
Yes,
that
please.
Jonathan Reyes, who in Denver, he was living in Denver, he had the idea of this kind of program because he was helping organizations to start and to run. And those organizations were basically about the formation of the youth. He was helping Focus, he was helping the Augustine Institute, and those organizations were about evangelization, catechesis, sharing the Word of God, learning the Catholic teaching for young people. And then later he became the CEO of Catholic Charities in Denver, who was an organization dedicated to serve the poor, reach out to those who were in most need. And having these experiences of these two worlds, he saw that many times these two aspects in the church are not very well connected. So he had this idea, why don't we do something that connect these two aspects? So a formation program for the youth that are growing, they are going to be the future of the church and of the world. They are going to be the future professionals, husbands and fathers and mothers. So, and at the same time, he said there is poverty in our country and in the world, and we can address that poverty with these young people that really want to serve. He saw that in the past there was a huge division between these two worlds, but nowadays there is a new generation of young people, especially Catholics, that don't see this difference between having a good formation and spiritual life and serving the poor. So they want to serve the poor. So that's how Christ in the City became the program that we are right now, which is helping young adults to grow in their faith, to learn about the Catholic Church, to be prepared for the future. And at the same time, every day we go out into the streets to reach out to those who are suffering the most, people that are living in the streets or homeless. So, another interesting, I
So let
would
me ask you,
say,
let me ask you a question. How do the young people come to you? How are they recruited?
basically word of mouth and social media, I would say. So they share with their friends what they are doing, and they share the joy that they have found in serving for a year, because our volunteers, we call them missionaries, and they give 1 year of their lives to do this, to have this experience in community with other young people like themselves, and to reach out to the poor every day. In Denver, we have 30 missionaries, 30 full-time volunteers, and in Philadelphia, we have 20. So they form a very beautiful community of young men and women, and they grow together and they go out to the streets together. So they enjoy being part of this group of people that want to that have the same goals, the same desires to grow in their faith, and at the same time to reach out to the poor and help them.
So these are young people that come to you who are pretty much self-identified based on what you've said. They identify themselves. They want to be a part of this, and
Mhm.
then they are used in a ministry to the poor. Um, and there was something. There was another thing. I was going to say something else about that. Um, that these are what, college age kids? Are they high school? Older?
It's the requirement would be 18 through 27. Most of
Okay,
them are, I would say, between 22 to 25. Usually, usually when they finish college before starting to work or doing a
I
master's
see.
degree or something, that's when they take this gap year
So
to
this is
volunteer.
a street ministry, is what it is. Then you go down right to the streets. Um, and do these people get any training? What kind of supervision do they get? I'm just kind of curious. Is this organic? How does it work?
Yes, at the beginning of the year, we have like almost 3 weeks to a full month of training. The training begins with building the community of friends because that is going to be key. It's a part that we can't miss because once they start going out to the streets, they are going to see very tough situations. So the support that they need is what we build at the beginnings. This is 30 people or 20 people coming from different states, different walks of life, and we emphasize a lot the friendship. So they create a beautiful community that is going to become the support throughout the year for them to be able to go to the streets. We divide the community. Let's say we have 30 missionaries in Philadelphia, in Denver. We divide the community in small groups, and that group becomes a team, a street team. So the same group walks the same route the whole year. So that has many advantages. One is that it's a small group that they really get to know each other. They
Yeah.
really get to help each other. They walk the street together and they meet the people living in the streets on those routes because homeless people usually live in the same area, even in the
Yeah.
same street. So that's important for us, the consistency. We are going to share how we do our ministry later, but that consistency of the same small community of people reaching out to a single person living in the streets every day, every month, in every year, it's very important for them.
So these people walk the same routes. They meet a lot of the same people. Is the goal simply to befriend these people? Do they provide some sort of services? Do they find out what they need and direct them in the right way? Do they invite them to church? What's the parameters of the ministry?
Yes, that's when it comes to the interesting part because Mother Teresa had a very profound saying. She said, many people talk about the poor, but very few people talk to the poor.
Oh yeah,
And
yeah. Let's say that again. Repeat that. Very many people talk about the poor.
mhm,
Very few talk to the poor.
exactly.
That's a very big
So
difference.
it is. And after walking the streets for these 12 years or so, we have found something that is important. At the root of homelessness, there are always broken relationships. There is crime, addictions, financial struggles, mental issues, everything. But there is one common denominator: broken relationships. Something happened, at some point in their lives, and it could be one of the previous crime, it can be addiction or something, but at the end there are broken relationships. These people that really don't have anybody in the world, anybody to reach out to. And because of that, that's why we can understand that there are many resources. There is food, there is medicine, there are shelters, there is money, there are houses. But at the same time, there are many people living in the streets. So why people living in the streets don't reach out to the many resources and money that is being offered to them
Yeah.
in different ways? Because for many of them, I wouldn't say everybody, but for many of them, they don't have this someone or some people with them to help them to overcome their situation. So what we
Yeah.
provide, when we see these broken relationships, we provide healthy relationships. We provide friendship in Christ. We reach out to them to get to know them. We don't offer food. We don't offer anything. We just offer friendship.
You know,
And
let's talk about that because there's,
mhm,
homelessness is in some places an epidemic, and there's all this hand wringing about what it is and what causes it. And generally speaking, the public or government answer, the civil answer, is to throw money at it, either through facilities or drug rehab programs or something. But what you're saying is at the root of all of this is a lack of a relationship, the lack of human contact. And so
yes.
there's no amount of material or social programming that's going to make up the difference for that. That's not going to
Mhm.
compensate. So what you say is that you are providing that, and as you're providing it within a Christian setting, so you're offering them the love of Christ, which enables them to connect, to reach
Mhm.
out, um, and then if they need some sort of quote unquote services, you can direct them to the right place. But that's not what you're providing. You're providing friendship to these people, correct?
Yes, that's exactly because I would say many people living in the streets, they have lost the desire to overcome their situation. They have already assumed that they're going to be living like that and die like that. Nothing is going to change.
So
So if
they've come to accept their situation. They've become
Mhm.
passive in their
Yes.
situation, and so I
So even
guess
if there are resources, I don't need them. I don't want them. I can't. It's very difficult. So why is that happening? Because they see them. They don't want to see themselves as a problem to be fixed. What we say, one of our mottos is a homeless person is not a problem to be fixed. It's a person to be loved. So once we respect their dignity, we see them as they are, where they are at, where we see them in the streets and start talking to them.
yes.
How are you doing? How is your day going? Tell me about your family. What are your desires? And we can, at the beginning, of course, they are like a little bit surprised. And why are you coming? Why are you here?
Probably
And
there's a degree of suspicion. There's a
suspicion.
degree
Mhm.
of being closed. They're afraid of being either hurt or to be what's the word,
Taken
taken
advantage of.
sort of taking advantage of, either materially or spiritually, either one or both.
Mhm.
Um, that that explains a lot, Eduardo. That
Mhm.
explains a lot.
We see now that you bring the faith aspect, one of the things that they reject very soon is people that come and want to fix their situation. That's why many case workers don't have much success because they come with a mentality, let me fix you. Let me fix your problem. Let me solve your problem.
Let me fix you. I love it. Let
Yeah.
me fix you. I will
And
solve this. I'll just let me fix you.
And on the other side, they meet many what they say preachers. So they don't want to be preached
Mhm.
because they feel that it's another form of trying to fix me because I have something that is broken.
It's either fix me materially or save me spiritually.
Exactly.
That's what they're saying.
S- So when we approach them, we just approach as friends, as opening our friendship to them. Of course, the conversation about our faith, beginning with the name of our organization, they have their T-shirts that says Christ in the City. The conversation about faith and God and Christ and what that comes up naturally, probably in the first conversation. That's very
Hmm.
natural, but we don't come with that mentality. We just explain what we do, what we try to be. Christ in the City, the name is beautiful because we aspire, we want to be Christ walking the streets. We want them to see Christ in our missionaries,
Hmm.
in us. We want them to see Christ extending their hand to them, smiling to them. But at the same time, we see Christ in the suffering. We see Christ in them that are in our friends in the streets, or how we call them. We see Christ suffering. So it's an encounter in which they see Christ coming to them, and we see Christ in them waiting for us to come to him. And that's why the name Christ in the City. Christ is walking the city, and we encounter Christ in the people suffering in the city.
Now, do you have, uh, well, I'm sure they are, but I'm sure that they're invited to formal worship services at some point, invited to either take the elements or whatever is needed there. Um, is there a particular parish they're invited to, or is it in the street, or how is it all set up?
What we usually do is we have a beautiful story of one of our friends in the streets that he was not Catholic or Christian or anything, but he got to know a group of missionaries. And at some point, the missionaries told him that, okay, goodbye, we are going to Mass at the cathedral. And he said, well, what's the cathedral? Well, the cathedral is this beautiful church, it's big. Okay, can I come with you? Sure, come with us. And he came to Mass with them. And the cathedral in Denver, it's beautiful because it has these amazing stained glasses that are beautiful. So he came into the cathedral and just saw this. He had never been inside. He was in awe, contemplating the beauty of the stained glasses. And then the missionary started explaining to him what were the stained glasses about, the story behind. And that was a very natural process to him to get closer to the church. Finally, he became Catholic. He came into the Catholic
Mhm.
Church. But as this natural process, it was not an indoctrination process.
Right.
It was
Hmm.
just sharing the beautiful of the faith that the missionaries live, and that's how he became. So um, we don't try to bring them to a service or to a mass or to an event. If it happens naturally, that's going to happen. Another beautiful story, one of our friends, Roy, he became sick, very, very, very sick. He was living in the streets because he had some alcohol issues. And one day he was about to die, and he was admitted into the hospital, and the doctors asked him, "Okay, let me call your family, your friends. Probably you're not going to make it." And he said, "Well, my only friends are the Christ in the City missionaries." So the hospital called the missionaries, and they came and they prayed with him, and they prayed for him throughout the night, the whole night. And Roy says that he was almost mm, unconscious, and he felt the prayer of this group of young people praying for him, and he asked God. He suddenly had this desire to pray, and he prayed, God, give me one more chance, and if I make it through the night, I'm really going to recover. So he prayed with them, they prayed with him, and he prayed. Finally he recovered, thanks be to God. And that began his process of coming out of the streets. He reconnected with his daughters, and he finally had the desire. That's what I was telling you, the desire to overcome his situation. Because with friendship, one of the things that happen is once you become friend with someone, then you start trusting someone. So
Yes.
trust appears. And with trust, you become like, okay, I trust in you. If you think that I can recover and you help me, I will do it. I can do it. And that's when the
Unconventional.
missionaries start accompany them. Sometimes the very practical step like getting an ID, because many people in the streets have lost their documents, IDs and social security many years ago. So start recovering the ID, going into a detox session
Oh yeah.
or a court hearing, whatever they need. That's when the missionaries start accompanying these people to in the process, even housing, of course. So I think it's beautiful to see that friendship uh, becomes into trust, and trust becomes into this desire to break the shell that is covering them, that it's not allowing them to recover and start the path to recover.
I'm sitting here listening to this, and this is very sincere. It's very serious. That kind of thing takes time, Eduardo. So, what is the tenure of these people? Are they a year, 2 years, 3 years? What sort of tenure do they have? Your field staff.
The missionaries, they do 1 year, which is 11 months. And if they desire, which is about 50% desire to do a second year, one more year. After that, they have to just move on and do something else.
Okay.
We think that 1 year is, or 2 years, it's a perfect time for them to grow
Mm-hmm.
personally, and then to be able to do this very demanding ministry, because it is difficult. It is very
Oh,
difficult.
I can only
So
imagine
mhm,
because now, I presume that you have relationships with medical providers, with law enforcement, with these kinds of things where it becomes necessary to involve these people, correct?
mhm. Yes, yes, we have partnerships and connections with all kinds of organizations, beginning with law enforcement, of course. We organize, so our ministry is about going into the streets, but once a week, we invite them to come to a lunch that we organize in a Central Park in Denver and Philadelphia, and downtown. So we bring them to have a meal, and it's not a food line. Of course, there is a food line for them to get their food, but then we have chairs and tables, and we sit at the park, and that's when we invite the bigger community, the bigger Catholic community, to come and join us in this lunch, which is that's when we connect to the third goal of Christ in the
Okay.
City, which is about sharing what we are doing with as many people as possible. So every Wednesday, when we do the lunch in the park, a different parish organizes the meal, they prepare the meal, and they come with their volunteers from each parish, and the
Okay.
missionaries who we already know, our homeless friends, that we introduce them to our homeless friends to have a meal with them,
So
because
that
of
and
course it is
and this
intimidating to talk to a homeless person just like that.
well,
It's
and I was
difficult.
and are these held outside, inside the park, a
Outside.
church? Okay,
Outside,
and
yes.
I'm sure that's on purpose so that there's the homeless person doesn't feel threatened or they're being herded into a building or whatever. Correct.
Yes, many of them feel uncomfortable in a closed space. So that's why I was saying that I was connecting through law enforcement. Every now and then, we have to call the police, because, of course, if someone comes and it's like making some troubles, we have to call them. But they already know Christ in the City. They come and they are very welcoming and slowly try to help us. And that's why we partner with them, with hospitals, with shelters, with psychologists and different people, because at some point, when the time comes, we can start accompanying our friends in the streets to
Yes.
all of these resources. It can
Oh,
take some time. We have another story, another beautiful story. We have one of our friends who was homeless for 46 years. He
46
ran
years.
out of his house at 12 years old. And
So
he,
as a
as a
child, at
child,
12.
as a child. And of course, so everything, nothing worked with him. He tried working, he tried caseworkers, he tried everything. Nothing worked. At some point, he decided, okay, this is my life. And he lived many, many years like that. So one day, this group of young people came to his tent. It was not even a tent. He was living inside a little thing close to the river. And they, hey, how are you doing? And the conversation started. And then after a while, he started saying, hey, go away because the police is going to come and they are going to kick me out of my space. So then the friendship start to develop. And after a while, after probably 8 months, finally he decided to overcome his situation. He applied for an ID and he find now he lives in a very beautiful apartment because he was able to overcome this with the friendship. So it took him about 8 months. So it takes time.
Oh,
So
well,
that's why the missionaries they spend the whole year, and then they when they are moving out, the new class of missionaries come and they overlap and they share the friendship that they have in the streets with the new group.
okay.
And that's
All
why
right.
they are never abandoned, and
So
we keep the friendship going.
so there's this continuity. So you're
Hmm.
talking about the same route, the same people, continuity over time.
Yes.
So you probably have people that you work with, what, 5 years, 6 years, 7 years?
Yes,
Um,
because of course there is a number of people living in the streets that are not necessarily going to get out of the streets because of
yeah.
their mental struggles, because of many, many different situations. That doesn't mean that they can't have a better life. They
Hmm.
can have a better life even if they keep living in the streets because there are so many complicated situations and even mental situations that we estimate that about 19% of homeless people are going to be chronically homeless. Let's say stay in the street for a number of years. Most of homeless people become homeless because something happened and then they recover. They find a job, they find someone, and they recover. But there is
Yeah.
this percentage of people that are not going to be able to recover easily or never. We don't know exactly how many finally are going to live in the streets, probably for many, many years. Those are the people that we usually try to help the most.
Okay. All right. Hmm. This is fascinating. So at any given
Many.
time, how many volunteers do you have in your program at any given time on average?
Um, well, we have the 50 full-time missionaries.
Yes.
We have for the summer, we have another, the summer is a 3-week program, about, I would say 200. And then we have a short spring program for college-age students, about 300 more. And from these parishes that I was telling you, and schools and different organizations, we train about 1,000 volunteers per year
That's a lot.
in this way to approach the poor, because not everybody can do this ministry and go out to the
No.
streets for a year, but everybody can really discover this relational approach to homeless people more than just a transactional approach. For example, a very typical question that we get is, do we give money to that homeless person in the traffic light or not?
Mm-hmm.
And it's a tricky question because
Mm-hmm.
it's, first of all, it's up to each one of us to decide if we give money. But what we recommend, what I do, is first of all acknowledge the person that it's in the corner in the traffic light, and just see at that person and smile and wave if you can. That makes a big difference because people in the corner with a little sign that says anything help, they become invisible and nobody sees them. And of course, we many times we feel uncomfortable. Do I see this person? He's going to come or not? So the first step is to acknowledge the person that you see in the traffic light. Just say hi.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to change their day. Even if it's just one car throughout the whole day that say, hey, hi. That is very, very significant. The next step is to, if possible, if you feel comfortable, just say, how are you doing? How is your day going? I am Eduardo. What's your name? And they would say your name. And if you can repeat their name, hey, Tom, very nice to meet you. Because they many times they don't hear their name, never, not in a month or in a week. Nobody,
So,
nobody knows their name.
so you're saying the way to deal with a panhandler at an intersection is to get their attention and say hello.
Mhm,
Um, they're going to come over and they're going to ask you for a handout. How do you handle that?
mhm. What I usually say, hey, I don't have any money right now, but I just wanted to say hi and I'm going to pray for you. Have a great day. If I feel comfortable, I would even extend my hand and give them a handshake. I think that's beautiful. Another thing that it's very useful is to have a small bag. We call it a care kit with something that is going to be useful for them, but not necessarily money. It can be like a pair of socks and a soft granola bar, a bottle of water, an apple, or something soft in general. So that we try to keep in our cars, something that is going to be useful more than money. I would
Mm-hmm.
say in many cases, money it's not the most important need that they
No,
have. The most
no.
important need for them is, first of all, for them to be acknowledged in their dignity. I see you. You are there. You are suffering. I acknowledge you. I say
So,
hi. I offer my name.
so you're saying that someone might approach you and ask you for food, but perhaps food isn't what they're really looking for, not fundamentally, correct?
Well, in the intersection, they are expecting money. Of course, they are there
Yeah.
to get money. It's not up to us to judge what are they going to do with their money because we never know. Sometimes they really need the money. Sometimes they are going to use the money in the wrong way. Of
Drugs
course,
and alcohol.
uh, yes. So that's why giving money or not, it depends on not on the judgment that we can do. I think you're going to use the money well or not. It's up to us to give money. But what we know for sure is they need their dignity to be respected. They need attention. They need someone to acknowledge that they are there, they are not invisible. That's independent of their situation. If they are alcoholics or addicts, whatever, they are still human people, human
Oh yeah.
persons, and they are longing for this connection. And that connection can be a 10 seconds, even less, exchange of, hey, how are you doing? Have a great day. I'm going to pray for you. Goodbye. That is
Mhm.
very significant. That really changes the lives of them. We have missionaries that have been standing in the corner with them in the intersection, and they were stuck and they were really shocked to see how many people don't see them. So they are really invisible. And at the beginning, it was surprising, but then they became shocked. We are here.
Yeah.
Don't ignore us. We are human beings. So
See,
that's
and
what I would
that's
say.
I think the natural inclination is to avert your eyes,
Hmm.
is to avoid making eye contact. Because
Yes.
this person will come over and they'll want something from you. And how do you handle that? Um, Eduardo, when I was growing up, my father had a rule, and it's what I've sort of come to look for. He would never give anyone money, but he would offer them a meal.
Hmm.
And if they took him up on it, he would go out of his way to take them to a restaurant or someplace or a sandwich shop, wherever, where they can get a meal. Now, I have done that. I've done that when I was younger, and then in college when I was in Pittsburgh once when this was a busy day, right downtown. Busy, business people everywhere, and this man approaches me. Um, he didn't look homeless, but he approached me and asked me for money for food or something. I forgot what the story was he gave me, but it sounded plausible at the time. And I said, well, I won't give you money, but I'll give you food. He said, sure. So we went to a local sandwich shop. I went to the cashier. I gave the cashier enough money that he could buy pretty much what he wanted. And and I think, as I think back on that, you see, I was in a rush to get out of there, go back to the office. I think it would have probably been better for me to just sit with him while he had his meal. Correct?
If you could, yes, I wouldn't say there is a one way because of course if you are busy or if you don't feel safe or it's not the right time,
Mm-hmm.
you can do as much as you can, and I think that's fine. Especially for women, for example,
Oh yeah, it's a different for a woman, and
it's a different because they it could
it
be dangerous. So
can be
that's why I always
vulnerable.
say if you feel safe,
Mm-hmm. Well,
even if just saying,
this was in the middle of the day, in the middle of the week, on a busy street, and he went into a sandwich shop with me, people
Mhm,
sitting there eating, and I ordered for him. Well, no, I gave her
mhm,
the money, and he ordered. So in that case, I
mhm,
could have sat there and had lunch with him. This wasn't in the middle of the night or a shady street or
mm,
something else, And but I can understand if it's a female, there's a whole different set of problems, issues there,
mhm.
and I can see that. Yeah. Um,
I would say in general would be to even if in the bigger sense, we it's easy to give something in terms of it can be food, it can be money, it can be medical attention. We and the city and the state and the organizations can give a lot of things, which is and that is needed. Of course, they need
mhm.
those things that are provided. But something's still missing, which is this relational
The
approach, this
contact.
encounter, this contact. And this contact can have many different expressions. Like in our case, is we go out and sit with them in the streets. Volunteers, they come to a lunch at the park in an open space and they share a meal with them. It can be at the traffic light. It can be even beyond homelessness. It can be, let's say, if we have a grandmother that we know she's lonely and far away and she's grumpy. I can
She's
call her.
grumpy.
I can call her and I can take upon me the uncomfortable moment of talking to my grumpy uncle or friend
Mhm.
because I want to offer an encounter. I want to offer this friendship that and I think that that's why the approach is not necessarily to homeless people but people in need that many times are around us, who in my family, in my group of friends, in my community, in my neighborhood, needs accompaniment. They needs this relational approach, this encounter. That's something I can give and I can face rejection. Of course, in the streets, we face rejections many times. No, I don't want. Well, goodbye. That's fine. That's part of charity. That's part of we know that we are doing this for their own good. In our case, we do this for our faith as well. So we take upon ourselves the rejection and the uncomfortable moment of starting an awkward conversation. But everybody in our lives, we can take upon ourselves the awkward conversation with this person that it's annoying but needs help and I can do it.
I love what you
So
said that. That's annoying because you just feel that, oh, do I really want to do this? I mean, do you really want to get involved with this? And there's that, yeah. And then the other thing I was thinking of when you were describing this is when Jesus says, when you do it to the least of these, you've done it to
mhm,
me. And
mhm,
he talks about that, what that really means. And he's talking about a relationship of some kind. He's
mhm,
not talking about just a handout. I mean, it's easy to hand money to people. Well, we live in a very wealthy society where giving money or giving things is actually the easiest thing you can do. It's
mhm,
the most effortless thing you can do. It's always there. But to give them time, which is, that's the key thing, is giving them time, that
mhm.
contact. I never thought of it that way, Eduardo. I mean, this is something that is really a very au courant subject of the homeless, and
Yes.
and these people are. in some way disenfranchised. They might be hungry, they may not be hungry, but they
Hmm.
are disenfranchised. And how you manage to make that reconnection. Either you're not just feeding them or saving their soul or whatever it is that your goal is. And for Christ in the city, the goal is to make that contact and to make
Hmm.
that friendship. And from wherever that leads, it leads.
Yes.
Um,
For example, now we have so many volunteers that we can bring them, all of them, to the lunch in the park. So this, not the missionaries, but the volunteers. So we have opened our night ministries, and we go to jails, we go to nursing houses, we go to shelters as well, to places where people are just being alone and in need because, or they don't have other people. Of course, many times they suffer some kind of poverty
mhm.
or challenge, but we bring this connection, this friendship, which is the come in our case, it comes out of the love of Christ. And I would say the transformation, it's amazing. It's very beautiful to see how people light up when they see these people coming and just to talk to me, just to encounter and have a conversation, 30 minutes conversation that we all have throughout the day, all the time. They don't. They don't have that 30-minute conversation with someone that is really caring about me, sharing about soccer or football or something. They are longing for this. And it's amazing to see how these small connections become the missing piece for them to recover, to start a new life. And
But
that is
that's
very difficult to quantify and to explain because you see how long
well,
it takes me to explain to you.
well, actually, it's pretty easy, but what you're dealing with is a lot of preconceptions that you're having
Mhm.
to get beyond. Now, I want to move to this, of course, is you're an independent lay ministry, correct?
Yes. It's a
And
normal 501c3, a nonprofit
okay,
organization.
so is it you're supported 100% by charity, by individual donations?
Yes. So about 25% of our fundraising is done by the missionaries, which they mm, reach out to their friends and family to pay for a quarter of their
Mm-hmm.
participation cost, and we fundraise the other 75%. So we do events, we have one-on-one encounters, or ask for donors
I
to
love what you
support us.
said. One-on-one encounters. I like that.
Mhm.
I like that. So, are you the head executive and the head fundraiser, or you have somebody else that does that, or how's it set up?
We have a development director in Denver, which is our senior development director, and another. We just hired a new development director in Philadelphia. So they have the development and fundraising as their main goal. Of course,
Okay.
I have to help as everybody in the nonprofit world, all the executive directors, the CEO have to be very involved in the fundraising part. But we have a team that is helping
Okay.
us with that.
Let's. Uh, I like what you just said. That executive directors have to have a part. There are plenty of executive directors in this world, Eduardo, that think fundraising is not their job, and it is their job. And
Mhm.
because fundraising, you're going to appreciate this. As you know, the most effective fundraising is really building relationships with those who are your benefactors, your patrons,
Mhm.
as opposed to executing a transaction of writing me a check or doing a stock transfer or whatever it is it might be. You are very much relational, and that's where you're focused. I love it. So
Mhm.
then you are both the executive director for the one in Philadelphia and Denver at the same time?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
So your residence is actually in Colorado?
It's in Denver, yes. Uh-huh.
Okay. Okay. How often do you get out to Pennsylvania?
I try to go, it depends on the year, but usually 3 or 4 times I try to go to Philadelphia. And I think that going back to the development part, at the very beginning when we were starting, one of our benefactors told us that one of the things it was tough to him because he was helping many organizations is that many nonprofits uh, approach him like if he was an ATM, just giving money away. And that really that really shocked me because yes, he's not an ATM. He's a friend of mine. He's a friend of mine, and what we want to do is come and join our mission. You can't go into the streets every day, but you can join our mission with what you can, which is your financial support, your prayers, your company, your friendship. So I think and for that, the leader, the executive director or CEO has this broad picture of the organization that
Hmm.
it's important for them to welcome benefactors into joining the mission, which is what we are trying to do.
Well, of course, Eduardo, you are the poster boy for this. Let me tell you that I hate. I have to admit to you, however, though, that your point of view is not at all common. More common is the transactional world. I need money. I've got a good mission. Give me money. And
Mhm,
then you see, you've already mastered the fact that your patrons are people, and your patrons have a flesh and blood interest in what you do. It's just not, let me give you a check and move on. Now, I mean, I'm
mhm,
sure there are a few people like that, but that's not the way you approach them. And you give them the opportunity to really be a part of whatever level they want to be a part.
mhm.
Um, so this is, I've, I've really enjoyed this, Eduardo. I've gotten to know you so much better at what you do.
Thank you, Larry.
I thought I knew, and now I really know. Um, so now, and you said all of your missionaries each are responsible for raising a portion of their own personal support.
Yes, they do it through Christ in the Seed, of course, because that comes
Yeah,
to
right,
help them do the year.
right. Mm-hmm.
Um, and then we do the rest of the fundraising because we don't want them to have to fundraise everything because then
No.
the money would become a limitation for
Oh,
who can
yes.
apply.
Oh,
And we don't want
absolutely.
to limit applications to the ones who have a big connection of friends or a lot of money. So
Mm-hmm. That's perfect the way you do this. I really like this a lot. I want to thank you for taking your time to do this. I'm so glad that I introduced myself to you when we were in Solana Beach. That was so
mhm.
much fun. And I think we're going to do this again. Um, but God bless you, Eduardo. You're going to write a
Thank
book
you.
soon? You're going to write a book soon?
Not yet, but maybe at some point.
I think you should. I
Uh,
really do. Um, you know, Ladies and gentlemen, we've been really enjoying just getting to know Eduardo today. I have for sure, and the work that he's doing. And we're probably going to speak to him again at some point. And I just want to thank him again for his time. And I want to thank you for taking your time to listen today. Thank you.
Thank you, Larry.